It looks like Donald Trump is debuting a new strategy to now circumvent his gag order in his New York criminal trial. He knows he isn't able to freely attack witnesses and jurors with impunity, given that the judge has already held him in contempt a staggering 10 times, and even recently signaled that he may be forced to impose jail time for subsequent violations. And so now, Trump is issuing his little clarion call to his acolytes in the Republican Party, and his henchmen are showing up en masse at the courthouse to say what Trump can't. Here's just a small sampling of what we've seen today.
And so I think the American people see this for what it is. They want to keep President Trump off the campaign trail. They're seeing what's happening in the swing states across America, and they're seeing exactly that this is draining down assets and resources that can be utilized by the president to continue to forge ahead, to build a stronger economy, to secure our border, and to get our nation back on track. This is a sham, and that is the only thing this is. Michael Cohen has no credibility, no integrity, and this is weaponization against our president.
Where's the crime? There is no crime. The only crime that's happening here is this Democrat judge and the Democrat Party prosecuting their political rival right in the middle of a presidential election. The crime here is that the issues facing our nation are not being addressed by the Democrats, but they want to go after Donald Trump. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that has been wrong here. Nothing that has been done poorly by President Trump. The only thing that's being done wrong is by this judge. His daughter's making money, raising money for Democrats, and all of the fundraising emails and all the fundraising things are about this trial that his daughter is using. He won't recuse himself. This is a travesty of justice.
The real bookkeeping that we need accounting of is Judge Merchan's own family member collecting millions of dollars as a Democratic operative, using the existence of this trial as a fundraising ploy for Democrats. This is unconscionable. Imagine if the same shoe fit the other foot. Imagine if it was Joe Biden that was on trial. You had a Republican judge whose son was collecting millions of dollars as a Republican operative. What would you all be saying? This would not be justice. This is injustice at its worst.
And then, of course, the reincarnation of Jesus Christ himself, Mike Johnson, came and said this.
The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records. But I think everybody knows he is not the bookkeeper for his company. President Trump is innocent of these charges. And again, anyone with common sense can understand what is happening here. In the midst of all this nonsense and corruption, they have placed a ridiculous and unprecedented gag order on President Trump. They are overriding his constitutional right to defend himself from political smears from his harshest critics at the most important time. He is soon to be officially the nominee of one of the major parties in our country, running for president. And they have him tied up here in this ridiculous prosecution that is not about justice. It's all about politics, and everybody can see that.
And I gotta say, nothing screams love for the Bible quite like Mike Johnson showing up to cover for a criminal defendant who was already found liable for sexual assault and rape and currently on trial for falsifying business records to hide a hush money payout for an affair that he had with a porn star while his wife was at home with their newborn child. I mean, honestly, it is like Jesus Christ himself is walking the earth again. Just look at this clown nodding at Trump like his little pet.
Some extended comments this morning here. At one point he said, are you able to call a legal expense if you were paying your attorney?
And yet, this is the guy who will turn around and try to lecture anyone else about the teachings of Christ. Look, I'm not a religious person, I'm not a Christian, but if I was, I would be pretty fucking disgusted that someone like Mike Johnson has anointed himself the spokesperson for the teachings of Jesus. And yet, because Trump is just that desperate to have his little mouthpieces in tow, this is what we're left with. And Trump, by the way, is hardly hiding it.
Mr. Trump, are you directing surrogates to speak on your behalf?
Mr. Trump, will you testify?
I do have a lot of surrogates, and they are speaking very beautifully. They come all from all over Washington, and they're highly respected, and they think this is the greatest scam they've ever seen. And some are Democrats. They're very embarrassed by what's going on. I just want to start by saying that on the electric vehicles that Biden is pushing down everybody's throat, even though people don't want them, he wants to put a big tariff on China, which is a suggestion that I said, where have you been for 3.5 years? They should have done it a long time ago. But they've also got to do it on other vehicles, and they have to do it on a lot of other products, because China's eating our lunch right now.
Now, I know that the first question here is this. Does the gag order extend to Trump's surrogates? Can he be found in contempt for his mouthpieces speaking on his behalf if they violate his gag order? And the answer is that unless there is proof that Trump directed them to do so, then it's not a violation of the gag order. What it is, though, is a testament to just how desperate Trump is to poison the well and destroy the integrity of the trial. Remember, the whole reason that Trump is being gagged is because the court needs to retain the integrity of the trial, meaning witnesses can't be made too afraid to testify, and jurors can't be made too afraid to serve because, for example, the defendant is promising promising to exact revenge on them if they do so. And so in order to protect the proceedings, and because the defendant has shown us that he can't be trusted not to attack people, this gag order is in place. And yet, because Trump has no shot at winning without scaring those involved, even if he himself can't launch his assaults, at least his loyal little doormats will be able to pick up where he left off. But remember, definitely not a cult. And this is especially important today, given just this morning, the New York Appeals Court rejected Trump's challenge to his gag order.
There is some new developments that just came through outside of court, but related to this case. The New York Appeals Court has now rejected Trump's team's appeal of the gag orders that have been imposed on him in this case. Of course, he's already been found in violation of that gag order, the partial gag order, 10 times.
Meaning at this point, his only option is to rely on help from his sycophants. And they've proven that they are more than willing to sacrifice every ounce of their integrity, their dignity, their principles, and their branding, assuming they ever had any of those things, in their desperation to pander to Donald Trump. I should note too, on the point of branding, I've just written a new book called Shameless, where I discuss this exact issue of how Republicans have exploited their historical branding, as the Law and Order Party, for example, to give themselves cover to behave completely antithetically to their purported values. If you want to read it, please click the link right here on the screen to pre-order, or you can check the post description of this video, or you can go to briantylercohen.com/book. And thank you so much in advance for ordering. But back to these Republicans, the message that this sends is as clear as it is insidious. There is no moderating force within the Republican Party. These people are little more than extensions of Donald Trump himself. They will do his bidding openly and shamelessly. They will apologize for his criminal behavior. They'll run cover for his fraud. They'll carry water for his sexual assault. There is nothing that Donald Trump can't do that would be too much for them. Think about the implications of that when it comes to a second Trump term. If they're out there running cover for his literal criminal behavior now, just imagine if he's the President of the United States. Just imagine if he's in the Oval Office and doesn't have to face the voters anymore, and yet has the full weight of the federal government behind him. Right now, what we're getting is a taste, a warning of the lawlessness that will ensue if Trump is allowed anywhere near the Oval Office again. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.